That's who we love, and that's who we serve. Ladies and gentlemen, you're on the Innervision FM Universe broadcast. Johnnie J, president of Innervision FM, and I'm Alan C. Welcome. It's Thursday. So happy it's Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. It's almost Friday.
Hi, everybody. This is Godfather Soul James Brown. I tell you, this business is on. My man is on. Check him out. This is the Godfather Soul James Brown saying, stay with it and hit it. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Let me play this young lady because this is not in our topics, but I got to play this girl and say a little bit of.
How dare you?
Tucker Carlson talked about her last night as a part of the people that they pulled out to talk about climate change and saying like you have this mentally challenged girl and being used by the system, and they don't care about who they use as they're using this guy in Pennsylvania. Even though he's a bad politician when he was healthy, he's even worse after being a stroke victim. And yes, it's fantastic they have this technology that it can interpret a voice and then he can read what it says, and then maybe his handle is behind. They type out what they want him to say because once again, it's a person being used like a puppet. So
it's interesting because that's why we have always been told never to play the blind card. Inherently, we knew that, that could happen to any of the disabled population where they could be set up and propped up, as it were. Mm-hmm. And, when you talk about your stuff and what you're doing with the Innervision FM broadcast and such, the radio station, which is also internet radio, everything else that you do, your nonprofit, and that you're involved at the local level of our governmental affairs, attempting to run for House District number 5 in Denver. It's interesting because, that is something that you yourself, may have the opportunity at some point down the line if you choose to stay in politics. You may have individuals approach you in that way, and that is a very real possibility. So, I just want to pray over you and, pray blessings. First off, protection equally, provision, right there at the top of the list as well. And that, God give you every given thing that will serve his kingdom, because I know that your heart is to seek his kingdom first, and anything that, you might want, it'll be added to you. And that's just the way it is. Yeah. We're unashamed followers and believers in the Lord Jesus Christ here, and we welcome any and all opinions, any and all walks of life, because that's where it is. We live in the world, even if we consider ourselves not really to quite be of it.
Right. Yeah. And, I look at this as I'm serving the people, but I won't serve unrighteous things. I'll weigh it according to the word and according to the spirit that I feel, like maybe like they call it gut feeling and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm there to serve the people. I'm not there to serve Johnny or serve my business or whatever. I'm there as your servant, using the city money that will be a salary for me to serve you, and not to serve the special interest groups and things of that sort, like my opponent has been doing, because he has a solar business, and he's been passing and sponsoring bills that will put it into law to use his products. So it's like, that's not what. And this is our special Thursday show. I had a little bit of a, because I have Stephen Johnson. It causes extreme dry eye, and sometimes when the weather gets really dry, like summer switching to fall, if I don't put enough ointment in my eye, it sends me like I'm on a merry-go-round. And
Didn't
so
sound like you had any fun spinning and that kind of thing. It's no fun.
yeah, so it takes a little while to get enough moisture in there, and I use gobs and gobs of ointment until the eye said, okay, we got enough moisture, and my wife says, she says,
Speaking of eye care, that really leads into one of our sponsors. His name is
yes,
Damiano, and
yes,
he's a corneal specialist, corneal consultant, I should say, among other things. And he's a real good guy. You ought to visit him if you have vision problems. He's in Littleton, Colorado here. So wherever you may be, if you find yourself there, why, he'll take care of you. He'll help you out.
oh yeah,
And
definitely.
see that you've got good vision.
And then Christian Brothers Moving Company, located in Englewood, does moving in Phoenix and in Texas as well. So that's another good service. He employs about 28 people, families that his business supports, and he does it on the up and up and legal side, where some companies may they hire like illegal immigrants and they can pay them at a lower price. He hires only legal immigrants if they happen to be immigrants, whatever, and he pays them very good with medical insurance. He doesn't feel that he needs to, undercut people just to beat out the competition. So really good guy. And
We
then
also have the Colorado Arts Relief Fund. We got the Wells Fargo Foundation, and there's one other that I'm spacing on right now.
Denver Foundation.
Okay.
Yeah, and I applied for 2 more grants with them as well. And we're applying for the Arts and Humanity funding, which is going to take us to another level. It will take us
That's
to
interesting
another
because we do promote, what do you call them?
grassroots.
Grassroots folks, folks like you and I, folks that wear jeans or folks that just get their hands dirty, really.
Yeah,
Whether they're disabled or whether they're financially challenged, either one, we try to help out the recording artist and the musician. That's why they call us starving artists, because you got to slog through a bunch of stuff to get to where you want to go. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
Oh, by the way, we were doing some concerts with Afton, or my Afton, and the last check where we did the last one in June, and it came out, it was a lot lower than what it should have been, and they should have applied the tickets for the April concert to the June concert. And the boys, they haven't been doing concerts with them because they got mad. They said, wait, why is it going down, not up? So I contacted them because they've been asking us to do concerts in July, August, September, October, and I just haven't been paying attention to it. And now they say, well, 20 of the tickets were supposed to be applied to June. And the guys, they were mad at me. We weren't communicating. So now we'll see what happens with that. But things happen. But you have to leave the line of communication open, because it's like.
Well, that's one of the first things in the music business is relationship. If you've got a good relationship with your ticket sellers and your ticket holders, that kind of thing, if you've got a good relationship with your fans, that's wonderful. But you have to have a good interpersonal relationship with the bands that you're working with. And it's a lot of hard work, man. My hat's off to you, man. You got your irons in a lot of fire. It's not just political stuff or, it's dealing with musicians. You got your book out there, 6 Shades of Blindness as well. Mm-hmm. That's an interesting book, man. We could talk a lot about blindness and, this kind of thing, because that's where we're centered. Yeah. But we realize that a lot of folks, that may listen to this show, just, they're not blind. They kind of want to know what's going on. How do we operate? The amazing misconception is the idea that if we're blind, we can walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. I'll tell you, we're super amazing, or that we can't do anything. And
Mm.
you being one of the first film producers ever, uh, and certainly the first blind film producer in Colorado. That's kind of amazing. I guess you made that movie back in the 90s, 91, 90, somewhere around there. And you just tossed it up on your YouTube channel the other day. I think it's called Even Me, folks. So
Yeah.
if you go ahead and you search for that, well, you'll find that. It's quite interesting.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Check it out, and uh, give it a like and share it. And also this weekend on the 15th, Denver North Star newspaper will be out, and they interviewed me for about 13 minutes, and I think he's going to get most of what he wanted out of my website. That's Johnnie J for Colorado House District 5. I think he's going to get a lot of that from that. But if you get a chance, you can check out that magazine. Uh, let's see, it's called Denver North Star newspaper, and it covers the west side of Denver, the Latino side, and all that kind of stuff. So a shout out to my Latino brothers, and we're going to be talking about Miss Martinez, part of the California City Council, who
Wow.
she was a sacrificial lamb on the Democrat side, but I think
Yeah.
those other two should go too because they were complicit. Complicit. But we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about Biden.
Well, his policies really, I mean,
Yeah.
are his food prices the result of what's going on and the
Mhm.
policies thereof, or do the policies get driven because the food prices are the way that they are because of his policies?
Right. And there was one other one I had there, and I couldn't get my word up, so that's why, and I couldn't get my Outlook up, my computer. I was lucky enough to get these two things up, but my office is messing with me today, and so I was on the phone with the office guy today, but he seemed like he was really slow, and I said, "Hey, it's 8:25. I'll get back with you." So, so, um, so some other topics, and I'll probably remember them as we go along. So don't forget to like, share this show, and when you see it later on, sometimes we get like zero watches, and so this topic should be close to a lot of people's hearts. But let's talk about these other topics first. Let's talk
Okay.
about the California City Council lady. Now, you know what? The person who recorded this and the person who leaked this, I have a feeling that this is how politics work.
It
Say,
does these days. In
yeah,
fact, that used to really be frowned upon 25 years ago when I was a political science major. They taught that you should never use these tactics that are being used.
and I have a feeling that they wanted her to vote a certain way. They wanted all of them to vote a certain way, and they wanted to have something to leverage to make them vote a certain way. And
Yeah.
so, getting these secret recordings, and then maybe didn't she didn't do something that they wanted her to do, and she said, "No, I'm not going to do that." And then maybe say, "Okay, oh, you won't do that. That's okay," and then they just leak this thing with her calling this 2-year-old a monkey, and knowing that those other two were complicit, and maybe they were trying to get her to follow along, but she said, "No, I'm not going to do that." And they said, "Well, okay, that's fine." But I have a feeling that you don't know in a what is it, a circle firing squad, who's the one with the blanks and who's the one with the real ammunition.
Wow.
So she stepped down, Martinez. I forgot her first name. So that she's out of the picture for a while, and then they'll forget. as they always do, and they will forget, and then she'll jump back in somewhere else. But for now, and I didn't know it was as divided as that. I know, it's a lot of, between the black and Hispanic, there in California, and then she said stuff about the Jewish and the Armenians. Man, she was just flowing. She was flowing.
You know, I've
Uh,
seen a lot of this crop up the last few, and I I look back at 2010, 2008,
mm,
2000. Even as far back as 2000, it certainly was not like this.
mm,
But around 2010, there started to become a shift, and I really chalked it up to, okay, it's our first African American president. Things are going to get better. Things are
mm.
going to change because that was his campaign policy, was change.
Yeah, I'm gonna
You know,
fundamentally change the United States of America, but we didn't ask. Well, what does that mean? We just and
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. He was actually, he was a very popular president. He was one of the most televised presidents ever. I never seen as many presidents get on the spot and get on television shows right and left until
mm,
around that election cycle.
mhm,
And that is when things started really changing. The racial this and the blah 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 that's when
mm,
it really first started creeping up, and so to speak. And there were articles even written about it, so that the fires might be stoked, as it were, because
mm,
the things that we consume. That's why we have to be so careful about the things that we put our minds towards and
mhm.
put our eyes on.
Yeah, and
Because our eyes are.
yeah,
Go ahead.
during that time, um, I would go to because I was a Democrat at the time. I would go to these meetings for Democrats, and it seemed like they were just gaga over, and because I couldn't see, good looking, bad looking, doesn't make any. I want to know what's the substance. And then they had this little, it was a 20-year-old, and said, why don't you stand up and tell us why you're voting? And this kid was so shy, and he was smiling and stuff like that, and he really didn't know. I mean, just basically, because he's black and he's the first black. And I said, and I kept thinking, like, what else is he? What is he going to do for you and for other people as Americans? What is he going to do good for us, right? But it was
Well,
just this superficial gaga-ness.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And those policies have carried without interruption, except for when our 45th president took the helm for a
Mm,
little while.
hmm
But this is the fruition of the policies that were laid into place back in 2010. You know,
Yes.
they the attempt to close everything down. Well, I don't want to go too far. The
Yeah.
attempt to do stuff uh, with the school system and the health system and all this stuff. Also, you can do some research yourself, and you'll find
Yeah.
some
I,
cool stuff back
I got
there.
to add something. If you heard about the ATC scores, they're lower than 30 years ago. It's about the same. So instead of kids getting smarter from 30 years ago, because the internet was supposed to, be the big
Revolutionized
revenue,
education.
it's like
Yeah.
they're no more smarter than they were 30 years ago.
See,
And
that's fascinating because I've also looked at that, and that's something that we have to really watch for, because we as a society are becoming dependent
down.
upon cell phones. We've got
Mm,
no more. We've got so much more information at our fingertips, or at our voice command, in our case, than we ever had, and we don't even have to step outside our house to go to the library. None of it, and
mm,
we actually just take it for granted. Whereas, you would go to a library, you would read a book, or you would read a paper on something, and then you would read a different book and a different paper, but it would have a different perspective. That is being smashed, squashed,
mm.
destroyed. And that First Amendment is what's designed to keep that intact and preserved.
Right.
Because if we don't have uh, different opinions or different thoughts, or different things like that, science can't move forward.
Yeah.
Science is always theory driven, and it's always, well, maybe water's wet because, and then they figure it out.
Yeah.
And during that trial and error process, mistakes are made, but, they do come to the eventual conclusions necessary, and this kind of thing. But obviously, trusting science isn't always the best way.
Yeah. And also, I just remember what the other topics were. Have you heard anything about that debate between Janet Griswold, our Secretary of State here in Colorado, and Pam Anderson? I have
I
not
have
heard
not heard
nothing.
anything. Yeah.
So
I
there
thought,
must not have been any bombshells.
yeah.
Because and as you know, Janet Griswold accidentally sent 30,000 ballots to illegal aliens in the state of Colorado with her name on it. Then when she sent out the retraction, it didn't have her name on it.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
But yeah, I heard nothing. Absolutely, it's like crickets. And I listen to a lot of talk shows. I didn't listen to all the talk shows, let's just say, but I listened to a lot of talk shows, and absolutely crickets. And so I'm just wondering, did they show up? Did one get sick? Was it so boring because they're probably on the same team, but because she's Pam Anderson still hasn't. And then I tried to Google it find it on YouTube, and there's this actress Pam Anderson that keeps
Right.
popping up.
Yeah, right.
And I'm thinking, like I said, Janet Griswold and Pam Anderson, and what
Yeah,
is this to do?
Yeah.
So
Interesting. It's interesting because the algorithms won't easily let you find a certain thing. You'll have to have additional search parameters, even if it's up,
yes.
to find it. So,
if you guys out there saw the debate, and it was a bunch of nothing burgers there, hey, let us know, because I definitely been trying to look for it, but it's not there. Now, and then I put it part of what the topic was going to be was about Biden did this interview, and he was saying that Putin wasn't rational, and I was just kind of comparing, like, what was Putin more rational than Biden. And my wife was saying today, she says, America's so great, we're trying to protect Ukraine, there's bombs going over there. And I said, but we're number 2 in fentanyl deaths between the ages of 18 and 45. So our buildings are intact, but we're number 2 in deaths. So it's like another war going on from China, through Mexico, through the cartel, where there's no bombs, but nevertheless, we're number 2 with fentanyl deaths. And people don't seem to get that yeah, the buildings are intact, there's no bombs, but people are still being poisoned, and these things are being laced into candy-colored pills, are being laced into all kinds of drugs and everything like that. So there is a war happening. It's just a silent war going on.
the silent war, the invisible enemy. I mean, you could call it a lot of different things, but
Yeah.
you have to understand that this wasn't going on in 2019.
No.
In 2019, this was not happening. In 2020, when on Friday the 13th, 2020, oddly enough, everything stopped for, the world. And everything kind of, reset, as it were. Without getting too deep into stuff for our benevolent overlords at YouTube and overstepping bounds, I just, have to say that this is a direct result of what did transpire to allow for our esteemed president to take the helm and lead us and guide us in the current road we find ourselves on.
Hmm.
So,
Yes.
and this is all his. This is all his. It's nobody else's. It's not mine. It's not Johnny's.
Hmm.
And the idea that half of America is labeled as a certain label is unconscionable. And he has to rethink that decision to label half of America a certain way.
Yeah.
He,
And it
he
goes
has to
against
go.
our constitutional republic. And I keep getting these and they said, well, respond to our poll to save democracy. And I said, if you don't know that we're a constitutional republic, forget you. You got to get that other part right first before I respond to your we are a 100% republic, because we are not. So
Well,
yeah.
it all boils down to this, Johnny, and that is that our republic is what we're founded on. But do we even know what it is anymore? Because have we been taught? I mean, a few of us have diligently studied and put our hands on the material as much as possible, so that we might know where we came from, the good and the bad. No censorship with us, because the bottom line is we have to know so that we don't repeat the same mistakes in our history when our future comes around with a similar circumstance or situation. That is why freedom of thought, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, those are at the core of our foundation of our society, and they will not be eroded.
Yeah.
That why they cannot be eroded, because once that is gone, anything that we have is, well, it's probably gone by then anyway. But that's why the push to get rid of the thought, the idea, because if there's one person that believes that the United States Constitution is something to stand up for and to preserve, and to if necessary, make some constructive changes to the governing structure so it's more peaceful and amenable to our people, it has to happen. That's just all there is. And we sit at a time where we are actually even creating artificial intelligences that are watching what we're getting into paranoia. This is not paranoia, because we're creating this stuff. I'm sorry, our cameras can be accessed by these things, and our microphones on our phones, they can be accessed by these things, and we do not even necessarily have to know. And it's all in our terms and conditions. We sign this stuff away.
Did you hear that Apple's getting involved with that, the virtual, because Zuckerberg is in it, and so Apple decided, hey, I'm going to jump in this market too. You're not the only guy.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the stuff we're setting up for ourselves. And the bottom line is we need to be of a people that are united around each other, instead of the attack in the society and the just this. Oh man, it's not good. It is not good. So we need to pray. I mean, we're in the book of James. We need to pray for our leaders. Pray that Joe Biden, our president, sees that depleting our oil reserves is not a good idea without replenishing them. Perhaps using what is possible to be used without what do they call them? They're governmental organizations designed to I lost it. All these acronyms, all these alphabet things, we didn't need them 30 years ago. We don't need them now.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that all these things are going on, and some people are aware of it, and then some people are not. I was talking to my stepdaughter, and she's saying, like, she was talking to, like, I think she's let's see how old she is. I think she is late 20s, and she said she was kind of tell her friends about this stuff, but they're so busy with the football and all these other distractions, and they don't see it. And she says when she talks to me, and then my youngest daughter, she says, "Wow, you guys are aware and stuff like this." And I just said, "Well, you just have to each one teach one. You can't change the whole world, but you can change your circle."
Wow, that's
Yeah.
that's amazing. Each one teach one. And that's what I love about the book of James, because he lays it out on the line right away. He starts in chapter 1 with his greeting to the 12 tribes. And I mean, he just goes right for it. From there on, it's all about working in your faith and doing what you believe to be right and necessary, and asking for those things that you need in your journey, but not asking in an incorrect way or asking for the wrong thing. I want a bigger house and a better this, or a you know prettier girl, or a you know no, man. Be asking for those things that truly matter, that will net eternal consequences, as opposed to these transient consequences of the world.
Yeah, yep. It's very interesting. Um, oh, but let's get to the food thing.
Okay.
Okay. And the reason I started to think about this was uh, I went and shopped for like a lot of vegetables. Now it wasn't a lot. I
Right.
mean, what I shopped for, it came up to like $82, and I'm thinking like, I mean, it didn't even fill the refrigerator. I mean, it was there, and I'm thinking like $82 for what I
For a few
got.
days.
Well, some of it went faster than others, but it's gonna last me like for 2 weeks. But it wasn't a lot. I mean, I didn't go buying a lot. I mean, I bought a bag of potatoes. Sweet, I finished those in about a week and a half because I don't eat mashed potatoes all the time. 2 boxes of romaine lettuce that lasted like a week and a half, and then and celery that lasted for about a week and a half. But you see what I'm going? I mean,
Oh yeah.
those little things, and then like bananas that lasted because I'm not eating it every day. Some of the fruit went a little bit faster. Um, like they have this watermelon where they cut it up and they put it in a box for $5. I got like 3 of those.
Right.
I mean, that I can eat one of those box, boom, one in just one
Oh
sitting,
yeah.
boom,
In
gone.
a sitting. Yeah, it's gone.
Right.
And it doesn't even taste all that great. It doesn't even taste as sweet as normally they usually are. And there's some
Yeah.
amazing, interesting happening to our foods.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this $82, and I know 2 years ago I could have got this stuff for maybe like $28. Because the watermelon
Yeah,
slices probably would have been a
before
dollar
we're
or
too
so.
far fact checked and things like that, let's just put it this way. Um, Start keeping a diary for yourselves.
Hmm.
Study what you're spending now, and I guarantee you, look at it in 2 years.
Hmm.
$82 is going to be a pittance,
What I do
because
on my list, I put down because my wife she tells me how much it was. So on each of my list at the bottom, I put down the price. So
yeah,
so I know, and then what store I shopped at too, so I know that happened, and the definitely the policies of Joe Biden, the policies of um, Governor Polis, the policy of Michael Hancock, the policy of Alice Valdez, these blue state policies, because the gas prices are going up, and the diesel trucks that they take to get these products to your store. If their prices go up, then they pass that on to the supermarket, and the supermarket passes that on to we the customers. And do you know that it's supposed to come out today that how much they're going to raise up the Social Security or SSDI, which that's what me and Alan is on when we're not working. It's going to be, they said like 8.7%, which is higher than than the rose did like since 40 years ago when Jimmy
Yeah.
Carter was wrecking the economy. The peanut farmer we had as a president who thought, uh, well, whatever, who put his hat in the ring and really tried to destroy our economy. So it took 40 years to for them to raise it up for 8.7. I don't even know what 8.7 would be. I could probably do
They they calculated it might be a $200 raise.
okay.
Something to that effect. I mean, somewhere around there, which
All
is
right.
necessary and great. But I tell you, Johnny, when inflation is outstripping anything, and rent
Mm-hmm.
prices and food prices outstrip everything, we're kind of lucky in the fact that, or I might be lucky in the fact that I've got, a certain thing where it allows me to have a vegetable allowance and this, that, and the other allowance, vitamins. But the bottom line is, man, we're experiencing a shortage
Mm.
and we're being told to prepare. And we can't prepare because of the fact that everything just keeps going up and up and up. And the survival foods that you would use to prepare do not
Mm.
take these commodities. So
Mm.
you're forced into, buying substandard foods and forced into, you know, a lifestyle that you'd rather not have.
Mm.
And that's just the bottom line there.
Yeah.
So I find myself a year later, Johnny, I'm still here. I mean, I'm grateful for what I have, but man, I eat more junk food than I ever did.
Oh man, stop that! Stop that! Oh, I gotta tell you this one story. I heard it this morning. It's not on our topics, but I just heard it this morning. So this guy, he's 41 years old, and back in March, he had a heart attack
Right?
because when you're doing that bike, you learn how to work through the pain. So he was having
Right.
pain on the left hand side and stuff like that. So he was working through it and had this heart attack. He didn't die. They did a bypass. I don't know if they did a bypass because one of his valves were clogged up or whatever. But this is what they said now, and then I'm gonna tell you what they didn't say. They said no matter how much exercise you do, you cannot stop heart disease. Now that's a half truth because they should have said, but if you stop eating all this junk food
The foods
and
exacerbate. Exactly.
that exacerbate it, you can slow it down, and in some cases you can reverse it because you're eating food that your body. So they went out. They said, no way, all the exercise, you know. So what does that make? Like, why am I just sit on the couch and get my Twinkies and bonbons and forget about it? And it's
Well,
like no.
see it this way: it's like cattle. We're being fed stuff that we ought not to eat, and we do
Mm,
this to our cattle. We feed them corn, and we've got all these different feeds that we give them. Is not necessarily the greatest for them. So
mm,
it's like eating a slob on the couch when you eat that cow.
mm.
If you're going to have to eat meat, like,
Grass fed.
oh boy, I got to have it.
There's
So
a there's
if you
no
got to do it,
there's a farmer there's a farm locally. They serve the cattle only grass fed feed.
hmm
Locate those. If you
yep,
gotta eat
yep.
it, locate the grass fed or the grain fed for the chickens, whatever. Get those, and it does exist. It might be a little bit pricey, but they give you enough. You can put it in your freezer, and just you know now I don't know
Yeah,
the word ration, but
yeah.
do so
It's a
much.
matter of what are you going to prepare with, and how are you going to prepare? Because the bottom line is, if we have the mentality as a society that we can't prepare because we don't have the funds to
Hmm.
do so, well, then absolutely, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. We will not be able to prepare because we don't have the funds to prepare because we said we don't have the funds to prepare. And so, man, thinketh, so it shall be.
Hmm. Oh, and don't forget, hey, people share the show. You can give us like a heart super chats
Oh,
down there,
yeah,
and so far with our modernization, we have made a whopping 94 cents. So,
Oh,
so we really can depend on.
4 cents, folks.
Yeah, that's not gonna pay.
Remember when that used to buy a Matchbox car, Johnny? I remember a Matchbox car cost 94 cents. I was so happy because I paid my first dollar as about a 9 or 10 year old to get me a Matchbox car.
I don't even think you can get a candy bar for that price.
Probably not.
Yeah, you can get a candy bar. Maybe you can get an apple. Maybe. I think an apple is like
Yeah,
59 cents. Maybe.
but the algorithms, it's really super important, man. Like, share, subscribe.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
definitely do all that stuff. We're on 10 different platforms besides YouTube. I
Right.
got
Right.
Facebook, uh, Rumble.
YouTube, Rumble, Getter, True Social. Yeah, True
Yeah,
Social, which I shared. I after the show I shared to those platforms as
you can
well.
always find content on InnervisionFM.com 24
Yes.
7. And, Johnny's wife also has a little story time.
Yes. Yes,
It's
she wrote
featured,
the stories, and
yeah,
I
featured
do
her
the
writing.
reading. Yeah, and it's called Lions Friends. No, let's see, Ostrich Friends of Lions. If you want to look that up on your streaming service, Spotify, we could definitely use some more streams of that original storytelling. So it's fairy tale time from 11 to 12, so 7 days a week.
Yeah,
So check,
you did
yeah.
a good job with that. I tell you, man, that was pretty fat, man. I like how you narrated that.
That was pretty fun. And I'm the hardest person to work with. I mean, I don't know. I didn't, you know, I don't know. I don't know what it is about creative people that some of us are, we can get on people's last nerves. Oh, man.
Yeah,
Oh,
buddy.
also, I need some volunteers to make some phone calls. I got D'Angelo, one of our artists. He's doing like 100 calls, and then return calls. But I got about 3,000 phone numbers, so I could use several people just to make calls for this week because the ballots they drop Monday, and I have supposedly 50,000 emails going out, but sometimes I wonder if they're in the up and up. But I could definitely use volunteers to make phone calls, and who knows? We're going to have a party uh, on the 8th for all the participants. The thank you, and we'll invite you to that. Also, this Tuesday, there's a Save Colorado. It was going to be, they charge you $25. Now it's going to be a virtual. So if you go to KNUS uh, 710 KNUS website, you can get a Zoom link to watch it live. And what's that guy from Texas? He's a senator from Texas. Ted Cruz is going to be there this coming Tuesday. It's going to be at the Castle Rock Event Center, the Douglas County Events Fairground Center in Castle Rock. So that's going to be this coming Tuesday and we can talk about that more. Like at doors open at 6:30. If you want a VIP ticket, I bet they're still charging for that $85. But it's going to be like talking about these issues, bringing across and so Heidi Goodell will be there, and some of the other candidates will be there. And I was I'm thinking about going there, but my wife says, "No, why can't we just watch it on TV?" I said, "Because I want to pump some hands and I
Right.
still I
That's
want to be
important.
in the mix, you
Right.
know." So that's another thing. So don't forget PayPal.me/Innovision Denver. And if you donate, I'll say like around $35 and up, we'll send you a T-shirt like the one you see I'm wearing on all of our shows with the Innovision and the guy with the TV head with the dreadlocks and the stick figure playing a guitar. So
Nice.
mine is red. You can we can get you the black one. We can even get you the strap, the for women, strap free. And so you can wear it for pajamas, something like
There you go.
that. So anyway,
There you go.
so yeah, that's our long-winded commercial, and I'm gonna upload this on our TV channel because I think it's some good material in here.
Because we
All right.
can.
Yes, because we can, and that's even more freedom
Yeah,
right
we're
there.
on channel 56 in Denver Comcast.
Yes.
If ever you're in Denver, hit us up on channel 56.
Oh yeah, we were on the day at 9 o'clock. Competing again with ourselves from
Yep.
9 o'clock today, 9 a.m. So,
Yep.
all right. So God bless. See you guys Monday.
Monday.
All right. All right.